How we doing, traders? Good morning and welcome to the #1 morning show right here, Pre-Market Prep. I hope you guys are ready to get started today. We got another great show for you. We'll get into the overnight action. We'll take a look at the numbers that hit last week and, of course, what economic data you should be watching this week. Of course, we'll also talk about what's going on with Nordstrom Pipeline 1. We'll talk about also Rogers Canada. My man Dennis is back, but we'll talk about what happened there. We'll also touch, of course, what's going on in Twitter. A bunch of downgrades coming on in. Our guest, Tim Quast, will be here joining us at 8:35. Hit the thumbs on up and welcome to Pre-Market Prep.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. With your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
What's going on, traders? I'm ready to get into the action. Let's go ahead. Bring on my guys, Joe Conan and Dennis Dick. What's going on, boys?
What's up?
Oh, we're in the red. It seems like a lot happened and nothing happened, right? Over the weekend, but here we are. We're down 28 handles at 73 and a quarter. They didn't like it right off that 6 p.m. opening. Couldn't even see the close. Important area on the downside, right in the area of Friday's low and Thursday's interday low, with some weekly stops. So market has to hold on. Let's just call it that pre-market low. Crude down 283 at 101.96. Gold slipping towards 1700, down $9 at 1733.30. Silver down dime at 1913. Bitcoin giving it all back after the weekend pump. That's down 1400 to 20,360. And Ethereum futures, they're down $103.50 at 1135 and a half. Triple D, we got you back. You're back on the grid. I wanted to see you. I just had visions of you like running with your computer.
Oh.
And then like getting all the way over to your parents' house and like not having your mouse.
Yeah.
And like, and then your hair going all over the place, but you got out of it. You survived.
Yeah, it was a mess. I mean, so I woke up at 6:30 and I'm like, oh, my internet's down. So I'm like, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just hotspot my phone. I go to my phone and I'm like, my cell service is down too. I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm like, my cell service and my internet both are Rogers. And I'm like, okay, so this is obviously fairly major. So I'm completely off the grid. I have no idea what's going on. Because TVs all run through, internet too. So I'm like, I have literally no idea what's going on. So anyways, I'm like, this seems major enough. And I had a bunch of positions. I'm like, I got to trade out. So I'm assuming it's a Rogers problem at this time. So then I hop in my car. I go to my parents' cottage where they have Bell. But as I'm driving over there, so I pack on my computer, and as I'm driving over there, this is Friday, as I'm driving over there, the radio says, oh, Bell's down too. And I was like, come on. I'm like, Bell is down too. I'm like, well, this has got to be a hack or something like that. But the radio was wrong. Got to my house. Bell was up. I got to my house around like 8:45, was able to set up my computer station, log in. They're on slow DSL, so I couldn't do much like fantastic stuff, but I could trade out of my stocks. So I got out of my stocks, traded out of everything, got flat, and then I'm assuming Rogers is going to come back. Oh no, Rogers stays down the entire day. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't come back till Saturday morning, off the grid for 24 hours. No cell service. Some Canadians couldn't call 911. Pharmacists couldn't fill prescriptions. Literally, we were all like cash only through half of Canada, because in Canada, and this is much different than the US, in Canada, we're run by three major, telecommunications companies: Rogers, Bell, and Telus. And Rogers and Bell are the bulk of it. And apparently Rogers is over 30% of the country. So Anyway, so that was the story. They did eventually get it back for me Saturday morning. I think most of Rogers is back up. RCI, if you want to trade the stock. Unbelievable, though, that it can be down for that long. They're saying it was some software upgrade that knocked the servers down. Personally, I'll say it. I think it was a hack. I think it was a hack because it was just down for too long. If you wanted to hack a major telecommunications company and knock literally almost 30% of the country off the grid, Rogers would be a good one to do. So that's my thoughts. They said it wasn't a hack. They said it wasn't, and that's what they're obviously going to say. Personally, just my opinion. I have no information on this, but just my opinion. I think it was a hack.
All right. Well, the stock's not really reacting too much to
No.
it. So,
Well, one thing to consider with RCI is they basically have this almost duopoly. It's mostly Bell and mostly Rogers in Canada. If they ever let, like obviously competition in, like let AT&T and Verizon in, all of a sudden, RCI and Bell, those stocks will drop dramatically on that.
Crushed.
So I'd be nervous if I was long those stocks because this is an eye opener for Canada that you can't have 30% of your country dependent on, one internet provider or one, like debit machines, 911 calls. I mean, this is going to open up the discussion on should they allow, and there's always been this protection, it stems back from Bell was originally owned by the government of Canada, and protecting them and, not allowing competition in. I think if they were to open the doors to like AT&T, Verizon, the US providers, I think it would drive prices down for Canadians, be better for consumers. So it's going to open up that discussion. The two stocks, obviously, which would be directly impacted by this is BCE and RCI, which is Bell and Rogers. I don't know if that goes anywhere, but I would love to see international competition come in. I'd love to see choice. Give us some choice. I mean, I got my buddy in Kitchener, and he's saying his Rogers TV is still going in and out this morning. That because it's up, but it's not, 100% back to the way it was. So I checked my speed. It seems fine. My service seems fine, but obviously not everybody's is. But give us some choice, man. So anyways, that's just my discussion. I don't want to stick on it forever, but sure. RCI, BCE, I think they should let some competition into Canada.
All right, let's
Everybody's
go ahead.
silent on that. There's no, because you guys are in the U.S., so you don't care.
No, I
care. Me.
I care when I move there. I want to,
Well, if you move here,
and
that's the other thing too. They'll say there's competition. There's Tech Savvy, or and this is a good point by Toronto Dave. All of these other networks, like I have Fido phone, so I don't have a Rogers phone. I have a Fido phone, but Fido's owned by Rogers. Tech Savvy's backbone is Rogers. So even though there's obviously competition, when you really go to the backbones of it all, there isn't much competition. So we need more backbone. We need more, obviously, if you're in the event of major server outages for whatever reason, it'd be nice to have choice. So give us some choice, bring some competition, and that's my rant. Let's go on to stocks.
All right, first let's cover. We're covering macro first, so let's go towards economic data to watch this week. Economic data to watch this week, of course, none other than CPI. Definitely going to be watched on Wednesday. We'll see what happens there. 8.8 expected, 8.6 previous. What do we get this week?
We're coming in light. I'm calling it now.
I'm coming in heavy, Dennis. I'm coming in heavy.
You're going to see a 9? No. I think you're going to see a low 8. And I think it's going to spark another rally. It's just my thoughts. We're on the opposite side of this. You're thinking no, I'm thinking yes.
Yeah, the big thing is I just see the way a lot of the data is usually taken in the early part of the month. Expectations out there by Bank of America actually have it going way higher. So I'll go with the banks. I'll lean with the banks.
Let's see what the chat says.
America is pointing towards the upside.
Let's vote. Over, under. What is the expected? Give it to us again. What's the expected?
Okay, expected is 8.8. And previously, the month prior to that, we had 8.8 is expected, and month prior was 8.6.
Let's just do over, under. I'm going under.
I'll give you guys what else you should watch for the rest of the week. Thursday, initial jobless claims. We also got, I'm getting an echo from somebody.
It's me.
Joe, what are you doing?
Just come on. I'm working my different. I get my computer signed on. Don't worry about it.
All right.
It's like you turn down your radio.
Thursday,
over. They've got it.
We got initial jobless claims.
Yeah.
Friday, we got retail sales and also producer price index. And also on Friday, you'll get the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Yes.
Oh,
That's
blue.
big too.
Yes, we try to pay attention to that. And of course, you got a bunch of second quarter earnings coming into play. It'll really get started on Tuesday before market open, PepsiCo. Then a little bit later on Thursday is really when we get kick off with the banks. That's going to be before open. You got JPM, Morgan Stanley. And then, of course, after the close, you got some other companies coming out. And Friday, we'll get Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citigroup, and some others. So definitely pay attention to all the second quarter earnings that are going to be coming on out.
It's kind of mixed. The chat's over and the chat's under. We'll have to add them up after, but lots of overs, lots of unders. I'm going under. Mitch is going over. Joel, where are you going? Under, over, under.
He can take the smoke.
I'm going based on the and I can't verify like Mitch's data, like when they take it from earlier in the month, but my eyeballs tell me under. I mean, I look at wheat. I
don't know how long it takes to get in there. That's
that's the thing.
You see, I looked that up, guys. I looked that up. That's what you guys got to do.
You got the edge on us, Joel. You got the edge on us.
You got to do that research.
I think prices are starting. I think inflation is starting to slow down. So I'm seeing it all around me. If it shows up in the data, personally, I've been buying stocks on pullbacks here because we can tell you this. I mean, if it comes in under. If it came in with a 7 handle, the stock market would rip so hard. If it comes in low 8s, I think the stock market still rips. Just got to come in under expectations.
We're talking.
If it comes in with a 9, we're going to crash.
There's the third option.
So it's going to be a violent move.
Well, we're talking about over under, but what about just in line? What happens then?
In line we rally.
Chop fest.
Yeah.
In line's chop fest. 8.5 to 8.9 is a chop fest. Don't dare show a 9 though. Don't even think about showing a 9. The psychology behind a 9 would just death. But I think it's going to be low 8s. That's my guess. Is low 8s. We're coming under. We're going to spark a pretty good rally. I don't think we're hitting the 7s. If it hits 7s, I'm ripping. So, anyways, that's Wednesday. But we got Monday and Tuesday. This is the calm before the storm. We got the COVID storm happening though again here, Mitch. Tell us about Asia because we got COVID exploding here again.
Okay, so unfortunately, we are seeing heightened COVID trends in China. Shanghai detecting its first case of the BA.5 subvariant. Macau closing casinos for this week. Also, this came on the backs of China's state administration for the market regulation on Sunday, imposing fines on technology giants. Alibaba, Baba Group holdings there. Tencent got hit. A couple companies got hit, and what's this really starting to put us back on the red flag is this is what we were concerned about in the first place. A lot of regulations were hitting the tech companies, and they came right back in it. The Chinese market regulators released a list of 28 deals that violated the rules, with 5 cases involving Alibaba, including the 2021 transaction for the purchase of equities in the subsidy of Youku, Tudo streaming platform. So more regulation worries and concerns coming out of China today.
When you think it's safe to step into some Chinese stocks and the COVID thing comes back and regulation comes back, and this is always a problem. Alibaba looked like it wanted to break out.
They're good at reading the charts, man. They are.
They read the charts and trade.
Yeah, they are.
What are they, analysts? They're
Tell us
chasing
about
the price?
Baba. Tell us about Baba.
Come on. The Baba got right up to that area.
Bumping up. Looked like it wanted to break out, and it turns around.
It turns, and there's fines, and there's COVID, and right back down. So, I don't know. You got to, you're still even, hey, if you look at this and you're like, oh, man, I thought, $5, I'm out $5. I think you're way at the top of a trading range here. I'd be careful. If you're like, oh, I'm going to wait for it to get back up to 120, I don't know if you're going to see that taking out the pair of lows here. So China turned. They turned on you. And 10 cent, I don't know. What's it? TC. What's the symbol on that?
25 letters.
Yeah. Okay. We don't need it. But anyways, yeah, they turned an FXI down. So, they can play. That's the biggest concern, right? There's nothing you can do about that.
Down. You're never going to get to zero COVID. We are operating in North America as normal now. I mean,
I
even in
know.
Canada, very few masks being seen. I know we're seeing some spikes in certain areas and pockets, and we're going to see spikes again. COVID is never going away. It's
I
never going
agree.
away, but our care towards it has. We, as you know, in North America, just we know it's going to be here. It's now just like the flu. It's going to be seasonal. It's going to jump up certain times of the year. It's going to be a little more violent to some people than the flu. But there's nothing we can do about it. We got to get back to normal. We cannot continue to just isolate or do lockdowns. China has a different policy. They lock the stuff down. And this is the biggest fear because they're never getting to zero, at least, and they can make the numbers up whatever they want.
No.
But I mean, there's no way. It's never getting rid of this. It's never, ever going away. Do you think it's going away, Mitch? Is it going to magically disappear?
I think it's wrong playing both extremes. I think China plays the extreme in the zero case, and I think it's also wrong in playing in the we're not just going to care at all kind of phase, right? So I think there's a happy medium there that needs to be watched. But of course, it's going to be up to kind of different governments to determine that. In China, they're extreme on one end, and over here, I think we're extreme on the other end.
But if they're going to continue to shut their country down or their cities down every time COVID spikes up and they get 25 cases, they're never going to fully reopen.
That's true.
I mean, there's no way. I mean, there's just, we're going to have huge spikes come September again. I mean, this is the first time in my household that we haven't been sick, everybody, and it's because it's summertime. And, obviously you go out, you breathe, your breath evaporates quickly in the hotter air. It always helps, there's, some actual science behind it. But I mean, September comes, the kids all get in school again together. Weather starts getting cooler. The colds and the flus, and now the COVID, just throw that one in the mix. The three of them start spiking up again. So, I mean, you're never going to get to that zero policy. So if they're going to continue to shut the cities down, every time we get a slight spike, it's hard to buy and invest in those stocks. So now you got Alibaba down, 15 to 115. I'd love to buy the pullback. I think it's cheap. But I just don't know. I mean, I still haven't bought Alibaba for the simple reason is that the government keeps torpedoing their countries. And if it's not regulation, it's COVID concerns. So until they stop torpedoing their countries, it's hard to invest in China. With that being said, the technicals are still fine on these stocks. FXI has had great relative strength, Joel. You can speak to this. As long as we're above, you can build a bull case. As long as we're above 31, 32 on the FXI, I'd say the stabilization, at least from the downtrend, is intact. I mean, you kind of stalled out on the FXI right where you think you would at $35 because that was where support was back in October, November, and then we broke down. Obviously, we broke down earlier than the U.S. markets, but when we broke down back in March, and we've come back up full circle to that area. So now you need some help. You need them to stop shutting stuff down and start letting going on with living. So we've went that way in North America until they start doing it in China. Hard to be an investor.
Lara, let's continue towards the other macro that is very important to kind of keep your eye on, of course, is the Russia operator Nord Stream here. And what's going on here is the AG confirmed the maintenance work, which are scheduled to run from Monday through July 21st, got underway on Monday morning. Russia gas flow to Germany are expected to drop to zero later in the day. European fears here are that the suspension of the deliveries could be extended beyond the 10-day timeline. Of course, this would, derail the region's winter supply preparation. Russian state-backed energy giant Gazprom cited the delay of the return of the equipment serviced by Germany's Siemens Energy in Canada for its reduced flow. Canada said over the weekend that it would return a repaired gas turbine back to Germany for use on Nord Stream 1 pipeline while expanding the sanctions against Russia's energy sector.
Holy, this is all just too political, and this is way above my pay grade. I'm a stock trader. I'm not a politician, not an economist.
Hey, I watch this stuff, though.
You can watch this stuff, but trying to decipher this to get a trading idea out of it and trying to predict the next move. I mean, really, really tough. So I'm just going to leave this one alone here, not even comment on any of this because this is just above my pay grade and the fact that I don't know how I extract a trading idea from this.
And I'm just going to say price. I was looking at price, and Natural gas is up today. It's not, limit up. It's way off its high. People are stuck. Crude's under pressure. So to me, price don't lie. It's a concern right now. The market, the price action to me is not indicating a major catastrophe.
UNG looks, and obviously we got contango, we got all kinds of other stuff going on, but I mean, it looks, like it's broken to me. It looks like the uptrend is completely broken. And you can almost argue that the uptrend in the USO has started to break as well, which is concerning. The uptrend in the oil stocks themselves, and this might be an interesting discussion. The uptrend in the oil stocks is completely broken. The uptrend in the USO is still trying to hold. There has definitely been significant relative weakness with the oil stocks relative to oil. And the stocks, like I said, when they start to get ugly, a stock is a stock is a stock. And you'll start to see the stocks all move together, even despite, you can see days where USO could actually be green, and we've seen that, and the oil stocks are still red. So, I mean, I just look at the oil stocks, and you can look at like XOP or XLE. It's been a lot uglier sell-off than USO. I mean, USO is down, yes, but nothing like the XOP. I mean, XOP 170 a month ago, hit 110. What a sell-off. Just spank everybody who was hiding, in all these oil stocks, and obviously hiding too long. And when I look at that XOP chart, Joel, you can look at whichever one, even on the bottom right, that trend, is uptrend still there, but it's dangerously looking like it's breaking trend. And I mean, this is the problem when you wait so long. 170, you're waiting for it to break 10. So you're long at 170, and now you're going to be selling down at $100. I mean, you got to ring the register, while the circus
on the way up.
Down.
It's so hard.
So
it's
crowded.
So hard to do it.
It is, and it was a very crowded trade. I mean, we were predicting a long time for an oil stock sell. At least I was. It finally came. I was early again, to the chat's point. I'm always early. I was early on this again. But it came. And I think now you got to be still selling oil stocks into strength. I know when you see everything. But with that being said, I mean, they are oversold. So maybe we're due for a little rally here.
I wasn't too off of that on Friday, right? I thought they were oversold. I thought we'd get a little bounce.
Look at what this XOP, right? Look what it's had, and this is going back to 2009 here. And I really wanted people that are just to really pay attention right now. Look at, you have this red monthly candle here. This was back in 2008.
Sure.
Well, we know what happened then. You had another big red candle, right?
Yeah.
Here, you had a couple in a row, one rebound, then another big one, then another down one.
Yeah.
Here, I mean,
boom.
boom. Here, this little week, nice red candle, boom. I mean, if you think that this candle, this June candle, is a July candle, I mean, if you're looking for a big old green candle back up to 150,
doesn't usually happen. Great point.
That don't happen. That ain't gonna happen. I mean, I don't know if it's going to 100, but I tell you, that big old rebound, and with the the economic situation, everything that's going on, I mean.
It all adds up to another big red down candle here. We'll take the other side, Mitch. I'm not going to take the other side in this next week. I think when we look at XOP 2 months from now, I think it's a hell of a lot lower, to be honest. I think you're going to I think the pain trade is on. I think the pain trade is fully on. The only way is if I guess and I don't know, like a lot depends on the CPI. We're making some predictions here without obviously going and seeing the implications of what is the CPI going to look like on Wednesday. And that brings us into the bank earnings. I mean, there's going to be so much information
big week
coming at us. And we know once we start getting into fundamental information, technicals take a backseat. But I totally agree with the way Joel and our technical analyst Joel is breaking that down. Is that you see that one big red candle, you catch everyone, and then they're like, please come back. I just want to get my money back. Please come back. They give you a little hope, sucker in a few more people, and then they nail them again. And I think that's, usually how it works. So I'm kind of with you on that. But believe me, there's some pain in these oil stocks. There's people going on there on CNBC saying, oh, yeah, they're going to come right back. I don't think they're coming right back either.
My biggest thing will be watch what happens going into winter. I think that's the biggest concern. If Russia keeps playing this game, what will happen to the supply, and how will that affect natural gas? In my eyes, I still think that oil is something that we can maybe control. Now, natural gas is something that we can't kind of fix there, at least in my eyes. We can try to battle to get some more barrels in the market. I don't think we're getting that natural gas fix if Russia does really start strong arming here. We'll see what happens.
So let's jump into the big headline from Friday night. And
Let's
that
do it. The
obviously-
big
Oh, yeah, it
headline.
took
There's
us a while.
implications
Boy.
all over the place.
The
and
big
thoughts
boy.
all over the place. The chat wants it. They've been calling for it. Let's do it. We've waited
All right,
27
let's go.
minutes. Let's talk Musk.
All right, here, let's talk the Twitter situation. What do you guys think about Twitter? Throw it up in the chat. Twitter shares dropping pre-market after Elon Musk said he's trying to terminate the $44 billion deal. This comes after the confirmed that number of bots and fake account on Twitter. And so Twitter actually put out there that they said it had given Musk the information he needed to assess his claim that spam accounts make up only 5% of the monetizable daily active users. This also kind of rallied DWAC, a Digital World Acquisition, on the attribution of the decision by Elon Musk to cancel the deal. So, hey,
Here's my thought process, and it's going to surprise you here. But
It's a good one. I like it.
my
I like
thought
it.
process,
It's under
and
the
I've
cuff.
said before, if this deal doesn't go through, Twitter could be $25. I've said that. The one thing to think about here, though, is this deal, despite Musk saying he's out, this deal is far from dead. Twitter comes back, they're going to sue him, and they've already said that. They said it right away. They're going to take you to court on this. So now all of a sudden it becomes a legal battle. Now we get into like, hey, if Musk actually loses, and the breakup fee is one thing, but the courts can make him swallow it at 54.20. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. So now you put 54.20 back on the table. The stock market's going the other way. But I'm just thinking, if this goes to court and gets really ugly legal battle, which it appears it's going to do, well, you never know how these court decisions are going to go. So
I think Elon tried to give you some
deal to buy this company.
He tried to give you some insight here, Dennis. Did you see his latest tweet? He said, they said I couldn't buy Twitter. Then they wouldn't disclose bot information. Now they want me to force me to buy Twitter in court. Now they have to disclose bot information in court.
He tweeted all that?
Yeah, that's his meme.
Tweets?
That's his meme right there.
He's going to have fun with this. He's going to fight this. He's going to. But at the end of the day, this is probably going to end up in court. And at the end of the day, who knows how they decide?
He thinks that he will win. Why? Specifically on the disclosure of the bot information is not going to match the information that he was given. That's what he thinks.
Let's see how this shakes out with Twitter today, because there's a lot of implications here. But it would not surprise me if I'm just looking at this from a risk guard perspective. I put 54.20 on the table here still, because this deal is not dead. Deal dies, rules in favor of Musk, Twitter's $25. But the reason it's not $25 today is the risk guards realize that this deal is not dead. This is now a legal battle. So what happens with that? So I'm actually, we can see it's trading down. It would not surprise me in the least. It'll surprise everyone, but it's not going to surprise me if Twitter actually turned around and went green today. So, and the reason for that is just, I'm analyzing from the risk guard perspective here. Court battle, 54.20. I mean, they're not even going to negotiate a lower price here now. They're pissed off. So now it's like, let's take them to court. This is going to be a long time before battle. It could be years battling here. But so it's not going right back to like 40 either, or 42. I think it's going to be the happy spot in the mid 30s, maybe for a long time, Joel, because we don't know what's going to happen with obviously the whole Musk situation. We don't know how this is going to end. So the implications, we saw Tesla rallying Friday night significantly because, he's going to not have to buy this, so we don't have to worry about him diluting Tesla stock. Well, I think there's still that worry going to be out there. And you can see the Tesla stock, obviously the overall market itself has come off a little bit, but it's hard to just go rah bullish Tesla. I mean, Musk is going to be a legal battle for a long time. DWAC directly benefits. This is all the love triangle of these three stocks now. DWAC, if you can call DWAC a stock, it's a SPAC. DWAC up 14% because, hey, Musk, it appears, is not going to be, at least in the near future, running direct competition against DWAC, which is obviously Trump's, or supposedly going to be Trump's, what is it called? Social, I don't even know what the Trump network's called.
Truth.
The
Truth
Truth?
Social. Truth Social.
The social, Truth Social.
Put it this way, I've never been on it.
I've never been on it either. So, and I don't care to go on it, but I'll just say it's good news for DWAC because you don't want to be competing directly with Musk. So it was not going to be good news for DWAC.
Will this deal
if
even
Musk
happen?
control Twitter. And now Musk doesn't want to control Twitter. So that's the only thing I can see, that's direct is DWAC being up. But Twitter, I don't think it's tanking down to $27, $25 here anytime soon because this battle is far from over. So I think, people who are coming in just short, it's going to go straight down to 25. I don't think that's the case because this deal is not dead.
I think he wants out. And I think
he don't have to think. He has said he wants out.
But it's not for the reasons that he's revealing.
He paid too much.
I mean, of course.
Yeah. There's a lot more going on here than what meets the eye. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing. And who knows other core. I'm just so glad I don't own the stock. I'm so glad that I sold it on that pop. It's going to go on for
Joel
years.
Benefited from this.
Yes, yeah, the Delaware, and that was a long-term position. I mean, that was something that but whatever. That's the past. I'm not rebuying it. And the Delaware courts, man. I mean, it's not going to be. It's a tough jurisdiction, and this is going to go on for a long time. And I know who's going to make some money on this, and it's going to be the lawyers. Because this is going to be going on, a long time.
Do you think we start, here's, just predicting SEC filings. Do you think Musk starts selling off his position here? Do we start seeing some disclosures like that Musk is starting to dump? How much did he own? Do we know how much he got up to? He never got over 10%, did he?
Yeah, he did. He
because
he did.
That's the biggest thing in the disclosures. If you're over 10%, you got to disclose.
And he didn't do that.
I don't know if he did. I don't know if he got that high.
There was even some scrutiny of that.
Was he over 10? Chat, help me out. I can't.
It was
remember.
like he disclosed and then he bought more and then I don't know.
Stack says 9. It's a big difference because you don't have to disclose for 45 days or you have to disclose within the 2 days. So it's a big difference.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious of whether, if he doesn't want to buy, maybe he's selling his stock in the open market now too. And then that's going to have implications for the price as well. Lots of things to think about here.
Yeah.
The one thing, it is good for Tesla. I mean, it is, obviously Tesla shareholders do not want, for multiple reasons, Musk to own Twitter. One, it's a distraction. Two, is the worry about dilution. So in any regard, the obvious trade Friday night was to buy Tesla. The question now, is, how much, as the market affects, there's a lot going on. So, I mean, it is good news for Tesla, and Tesla should be trading up on this. It's just a matter of this is not over. And it's hard to just write Twitter off here now because this is going to be a long court battle.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's take a look at the downgrades coming in bunches.
Big time.
Gosh. It's 8:35. Are we gotta go?
We're waiting for Tim here.
Oh, Tim's not here. If he do the downgrades.
Yeah, the downgrades coming in bunches here. Lulu getting downgraded here by Jefferies. There's a lot going on out there from the ratings. You guys could take a look. We're not going to cover all of them here, but we'll cover some of them. Lulu was cut to underperform from hold, with Jefferies noting increased competition and an easing of COVID-related spike demand. And we can get to some other ones, but first let's touch that. And you can make your comment, Dennis, about what you're seeing.
I was just going to say, I'm counting 50 downgrades today. I don't think I've ever seen that many. Like, I don't remember. Maybe back in some, financial crisis. It's been a long time since came in from Monday morning. All these analysts who have been bag holding their bad calls, and that's basically what it is, are using this rip to get to lighten up their bad calls, and there's a lot of downgrades. It wasn't just Lululemon. So Meta downgrade to sell, underweight sell. Lululemon downgrade to underweight. Fastly downgrade to underweight. Goldman chasing Upstart, downgrading that to sell. But then you have, Oxy, Goldman downgrading OXY, Bros getting downgraded, KB Homes getting downgraded, NEWR. I mean, the analysts.
Why are they messing with my bros?
They're messing with your bros, man. They're messing with it. They downgraded it. So I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's a lot of downgrades. I looked at it today and I'm like, holy cow, these analysts coming out and they are bearish. Makes me a little more bullish. Joel says it makes him a little more bullish too. We can pick on Lulu off the bat. That's probably the big call of the day.
That's a big move.
Lululemon downgraded to underweight. Who was the analyst?
Jefferies.
Who was the specific? Yeah, so I'm just looking.
Specific, I can look it up on the.
Yeah, it's okay.
But They noted the increased competition and easing of COVID-related spike in demand. So that demand that they got from reopening has gone away, and they're noting increased competition.
Wow. Ahead of the CPI number too, these analysts with some gutsy calls. I don't know what to say. I mean, we get these downgrades to sell. Sometimes there's follow through. Like it spooks people. So because you don't see that often. And we have a lot of them today. I'm long Meta. I bought more on the pullback at 161, obviously. 166. I think I'd be a buyer of this pullback again, though. The problem is CPI. It's hard to just go here rah, until we get that data. I think the data is going to be light. We already said that, but it's hard to just go all in, because if it shows up and Mitch is right and it ends up with a 9 on it, Katie bar the door, this market's going down hard. So need that CPI data to really start getting bullish, but I'd be so inclined to buy the pullback in Meta. Lululemon, I'm not sure. I'm going to throw that to Joel.
Yeah, well, with the if you've been waiting for an opportunity here to get in Meta, here's the pullback down 411.
Yeah.
Right? You had a move from 154. Let's just call it let's just call it a 18-point move, 9. So it gets to this 163, 164 area. Yeah, maybe 165.46. That was your low last Wednesday. As far as the upside, like I can't tell you where. I can just tell you that you got a wall here, and until you can bust through the high from last week, 172.72. Look at all those touches there. So path of least resistance is lower here until you can crack that 172, make some bids in the 173 handle. Lulu, oh man, I'm torn here. Because man, down 13.5 points on 8,000 shares. This is like it's opening into a pair of lows here. Split the two lows. So if they can't crack the same below, they haven't even taken out Thursday's low yet. 277, 276, 277. If they just can't crack it through there and just start to head for 260, I would, I'd look at this one little buy the dip too.
And then he got like Under Armour, which has just been a dog of dogs. I mean, that stock just cannot catch a bid. He doesn't even participate in the recent rally, really. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Under Armour, but it almost looks like that's the death march, it's scary. And then, obviously Fastly's had its own problems, but that's been coming back with the tech growth rally. It's actually looking a little bit healthy. Now you get hammered with a downgrade here. I think you find some support on 12 on that one. Man, this is like
tough
part
market,
of me wants to come in and buy some of these dips. They're nice opportunities, and part of me is still buying the dip because I'm looking, and I've got the opinion that the CPI could be light and it could spark a rally to 4,000 S&P, but it's a call. I mean, and it's tough to just come in and buy stocks that are downgraded.
Better things to buy then, right?
What about Oxy? I mean, we got Buffett.
Did you check out the Under Armour one? Did you guys touch Under Armour?
We just mentioned it.
Yeah,
but
I don't know
Oxy
what
is
to
more
say
interesting
about
because
this
every night Buffett buys more. I mean, he bought more again last week. I personally think he's going to take the whole company out. That's what I've said. I've said that already. I know Kramer has said it too now. I don't know. It was an ugly chart on Friday. Ugly chart for a lot of oil stocks. Obviously, oil is trading down here again. It gets downgraded. I think you get down to this 57. I think the problem with the bearish thesis is if it goes down to 57 again and you start selling it down there, then Friday or tonight comes or tomorrow night comes and Buffett buys more and then it pops again on the Buffett buy. So as he continues to buy it, he's at 16 or 70% of the company now. I mean, you get more and more thinking like, yeah, he might just take the whole thing out like 75 or $80. So this is one stock. If I was buying an oil stock, it would be Oxy if I was buying an oil stock. So it's downgraded today by GS. I do think it's an opportunity.
I'm not going against Warren, right? But I don't know.
Goldman's calling it. I'd like to read the note there, but I haven't read the note. That's a gutsy call. They are directly betting against Warren. They're not reading who tweeted that out that I retweeted. They said, don't bet against the Fed. Don't bet against Warren Buffett. I mean, I think it was somebody from our chat. So I forget who it was. But that's funny, but it's kind of true. I mean, Goldman going directly against Warren Buffett here, so it's interesting. What are the technicals saying on OXY? Ugly candle Friday, Joel.
Yeah, you got a little gap fill. It's going to do that with no problem. I think you mentioned the 57 area, so I'm going to stick with Warren. As long as this whole, I like to lower to closer to 57.
55.
Yeah, you're sticking your neck out if you're buying it here.
A little bit. I think lower. Yeah, I think
yeah,
you're right.
I think you risk
55 to
$2.
57. I
But
like that area too.
Warren's just buying it. I mean, it's just there's a resting order on his desk just to buy this thing. Just keep buying it, and it's like if you're going to pay $80 for something and it's at 57, 58, it's a pretty easy buy. I mean, that's the only way I'm looking at it. The fundamentals, where oil's going, if we're going into a recession. I mean, he's been looking for a big purchase. He has got the cash. He's been bigger in his war chest. So that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna fight Warren on this one.
55. You're right, and we talk about this in the charts a lot of times. When we start seeing a level it's bought again and again and again, you're like, oh, there's a whale buying it. We don't even have to guess in this case, Joel. We know who the whale is, and it's Warren Buffett. I mean, look at April, May, June, July. The reason it keeps bottoming at 55 is because Warren won't let it go lower. He's continuing to buy that stock, and we know we've seen all the purchases. He's buying it all up in the 55, 56, 57 area. So it's hard to just get bearish and say, yeah, this thing's going to tank. And it very well could. But I don't think Buffett's going to just stop buying this thing. I think he could buy the whole company.
All right, so it looks like we're having a little bit of delay on Tim, and looks like he might be having some internet issues.
Okay.
We know he's abroad.
We can talk. We can talk.
Yeah, we can talk.
Forever.
I want to do a moment here for him at least. I'm no market structure edge expert, but I do have the overall market here pulled up for us by market structure extra. So we've always heard him talk about this broad sentiment, right? And how he says like above 6. That's when he starts seeing the turnaround come. If we look here at around right before July, we were starting to bottom out. It was reading like 2.1s all the way down towards 1.6, 1.8.
Yeah.
As we got into July, it started peaking, started getting back up there. Now we're above that 6, and it's been reading there for 1, 2, 3, 4 days now, above 6. At least in my eyes, from my understanding there, at least that says market structure edge, saying that we're pointing towards the downside here. But I'm no market structure edge expert.
It's hard to comment on Tim's system, and especially with Tim coming here. So I'm going to reserve my comments here as well. Supply is still high though, which is what he's going to be concerned about as well. But I can't comment to Tim's system. There's he built the system. So I think we wait for Tim to comment on his system. I'll just say, we can go back to our own charts here. We've had a nice little rally. Yeah. We've had a decent rally off the lows. It's now wait and see for CPI. I don't think anything else matters. I think we're going to chop around for the next 2 days until we get the CPI data on Wednesday, and that's going to dictate the next move, hot or not. That's it. If it's hot, we are getting killed. If it's not, we are rallying possibly to 4,000. That's really where we are. This is a binary event here now. It's going to be hot or not. It's all that matters. It's going to be a lot of chop for the next 2 days ahead of that.
And we got earnings. I mean, start of
Thursday and Friday, and that But first we got the CPI. I mean, we got Pepsi tomorrow night. Nobody cares about Pepsi.
Delta.
Nobody really cares much about Delta either. The banks start Thursday and Friday. People will care about the banks, but we're going to have the CPI data before that. So now it's the order of operations here. CPI is all that matters for the next 2 days, and people positioning ahead of that data. So you're going to see chop as money managers position ahead of that data. The analysts are obviously saying, Katie, bar the door. We want out with 50 downgrades today. I'm of the opinion that I think the number's not going to be that hot. And I'm trying to position a little bit. I'll probably, still be, but I don't want to be all cash ahead of that number. I'll tell you that.
All right. S&P's just quiet here this morning, hanging above the pre-market low. Nice little rally last week. It was the old, weekly high trick, right? You got to 39.22. That was the highest level for the week. Little disappointing that we didn't pose a higher close for the week. So I think your chop scenario here is gonna play out. I don't think people are gonna want to get too, if they're short, I got to bring some stuff in, and I think these rallies that you'll see, I think that was the mentality last night, right off the open, like, I need to lighten up a little bit here ahead of the big number, but that's what we're looking at. Down 30 handles at 71 and a quarter.
All right, look for a stock that might be heading at least, I think, to all-time lows. Just what I'm starting to think, because I don't see how they can come back. Is a stock like Las Vegas Sands, with all the comments that are coming out, Macau beginning a 1-week shutdown to try to contain the spread of COVID-19. You also got Wynn Resorts down big off of this.
They should change the name of Las Vegas Sands to Macau Sands.
Yeah, that's why. That's
They
why a
should
little
change
part
it
of
to
me just
Macau
feels
Sands.
like kabam to the downside. But
This
who
is
knows?
what matters, and obviously majority of the revenue and Wynn as well. I mean, you think about them on the strip, but these are big Macau players. And Macau, it's COVID issues, which we already touched on at the beginning of the show. These stocks are going to get hit. Again, great support. If you just want to go technical here, Las Vegas Sands got good support down at $30. Win, I would say $50, right where it bottomed out before. But with that being said, they're kind of in the middle of nowhere here. And again, CPI is all that matters going forward here, at least for us.
Gambling thing. I mean, it's just it's over. I mean, I've been telling you guys this. It's just people are running out of money. They're still spending money on advertising, casinos.
The only way I get my life back, I gotta gamble to get my life back.
I'm gonna call it here.
I gamble more.
Hey, I called it last year. There will be probably an NFL run. Just keeping that in mind when the
people
NFL season comes up.
It
happened last year. It happened last year. Inflation was around last year. I mean, that's all I got to go off of is last year.
Okay. Oh,
similar environment, and it did run. So we'll see.
Yeah, you can go with seasonality on that, but I mean, these charts. I mean, they're just so. Look, I don't know about all. Yeah, look at last.
My wife's bag holding a little bit of pen. I stick the bad one. Joel was saying, "Yeah, you got the Peloton, and I got my wife's got a little bit of the pen that I bought before the whole Portnoy thing. I think I paid like $60 for it. It was a terrible buy. And she's bag holding that in her registered account. So I don't know. Maybe eventually we sell it, but that's an ugly one.
Come December.
Sorry to my wife.
I think not exactly the comment out there, but I think addictions people will still have money. They'll still have money for the beer. They'll still have money to put.
You know what?
Always money for beer, man.
Yeah. You know what?
Sam.
I'll tell you when I'll get bullish these stocks.
What do we need to see?
The next round of stimulus checks.
Oh, you're trying to stir up the chat here, Joel.
What's gonna happen?
You're trying to stir up the chat.
I mean, that's when these stocks had to run, right?
Quantitative tightening.
I mean, isn't that California right now? And California's gonna get online betting? Just putting
the
that out there.
stimulus checks help the stock
Just
market.
putting that out there.
It helped crypto.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there. California is supposedly gonna be the biggest for online betting, and they're about to go online, baby. So I don't know, Joel. Could see a turnaround here.
All right, let's move off the gambling talk. We got ticker time written up there. I see ticker time.
Let's
Throw us
go.
your tickers here. We're still waiting on Tim. Tim might not be here. Having internet issues. That's okay. Let's go. Ticker time.
These guys want to just talk about gambling. They're still on it with me.
Well, do DraftKings then. We'll start with first ticker time.
DraftKings. Okay.
Joel, break it down. This is in the middle of nowhere, really. Just kind of, in the middle. 10 to 15 has been the range here for the last 2.5 months. You're 12.5. You're dead set in the middle of the range. It could stay range bound.
I forgot who liked this one that we've had on multiple times.
It's hard to buy companies just burning cash. They advertise so hard, but you notice there's not as many advertisements.
I was just going to say that.
They don't see these DraftKings advertisements.
There's no sports right now, Dennis.
There's all kinds of
baseball.
Baseball, that's it.
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon. Come on, guys.
Tigers
Come
won a few
on.
games there last week. There's baseball. Yeah, I know it's coming. September is, and to Mitch, there is a seasonality trade in some of these. September's coming. Get the start of NFL. Get the start of hockey October and NBA. September, October is coming. Obviously, the best month is maybe October because you get baseball playoffs and you get every other sport going. So that's when you
Got
really
till
start getting
October.
hot for the
Yeah.
DraftKings and stuff. But it's
September
true. There's
to
been less
October.
advertisements. The DraftKings was everywhere. I couldn't go anywhere without seeing a DraftKings advertisement. I'm not seeing as much now. I think they're tightening their spending a little bit.
I mean, I think they play the game of survival, so they're going to be around. They're going to keep spending money, and we'll see if the other ones get to survive.
74 to 12.
Another thing that I'm starting to pay attention to, Dennis, is do we start getting some MMA to show up here on some of these cheaper names? Like, let's say in RSI, look at Rush Street. It's now $5. This could be an acquisition target, This one has a lot of exposure all around the world.
Do they make money?
I mean, they're pretty close. They don't do as much promotion as the other players. That's one thing. As you get to the lower players, of course, they focus more on their promo money. But just keep these on radar. Like, there's GAN, that's a super cheap one too. Right?
These things have all been $3. These things are on a lot of these are going to zero. I'm going to say right now, it's
either
maybe
get bought out or
a lot of these are going to zero.
I could see that,
or at least going bankrupt. I guess bankrupt stocks don't go to zero anymore. Should I say some of these companies, some of these stocks that you just mentioned, possibly some of these are going bankrupt. So I'd be careful. 30. You see a GAN go 30 to 3. Stocks go down 90%. They don't come right back. So bag holder central on that one. Obviously, it was a great stock in 2020 and 2021, but it's been on the death march here for a while. I'm scared of that stock.
Yeah, let's do Square. Pablo asked for Square. I haven't.
Called Block, Joel. Block.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll call it Square forever, me and Joel.
Man, it's look at 3 matching range days. So there you go. You got a bust. Let's call it the high from last week. You get above that high from last week, 69.5. I'm not worried about 70. And then on the downside, if you're sticking your nose out here, you're risking down to 64.50. That's triple bottom good enough for me. So 64.50, 3-star support on the upside. That's 69.5, but kind of in the middle, nowhere, tight ranges. I don't know. Where's the catalyst?
Upstart did not help Block either.
No.
Upstart didn't help them, and we haven't talked it. But and obviously you guys would have talked on Friday. I was off the grid. Affirm too. I mean, obviously it held up very, very well. I'm very impressed with it. How it held up because UPST was an epic disaster. We didn't talk about the lower guidance. Now the subsequent downgrade from GS to sell. I mean, maybe this is just an Upstart deal, which I think it kind of is. But at the same time, Affirm, Square, PayPal, all kind of got hit a bit on that. They did bounce back on Friday. They're getting hit here again. Didn't help. Would I be a buyer of Square at some point in time? I would. Could you buy it in the lower 60s? I think as a trade you could. Again, CPI data is all that's going to matter. We're going to keep saying that for the next 2 days because it's all that matters going forward. 56 the low. It's $10 off the low here now. It's still way oversold. I think it wants to go higher. I think on Friday, Upstart did not help it, though.
Where's Dorsey? What's he doing?
Who knows?
He's in Africa.
Where is he? He's even in the U.S. Where is he? Africa?
He's working on that beard. That's what he's doing, man. He's working on that beard.
Where is Jack Dorsey?
Where are the Jacks? We should do Where are the Jacks show.
Maybe they're together drinking Jack. Who knows?
I think the PayPal. Nice. Both looking charts look the same here.
Square and PayPal, I trade those stocks. And again, my bread and butter we know is relationship trading. PayPal and Square, I pair trade those things all the time. They
look at that, Matt. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, $75. The high from last week was 75.40, but just the way they the 75.15 was the high on Thursday, and then they bumped it down to 74.6. Someone's been targeting that $75 area with some big size. So until you clear 75, path of least resistance lower.
Bag holders, too many. You're right.
Yeah.
The
Yep. Just
CPI.
coming
Give us
down.
a good CPI number, and some of this stuff could start to look good again.
I mean, these
Okay.
things were crypto rallies. I mean, that doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
matriculating.
I think the Square at a certain point in time is a buy. I would never, if you would have said the Square was going to be $67, after it was $300 or almost $300 back in 2021, I'd be
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
think-
yeah, I'd buy that for sure. We're just not Kansas anymore though, so it's so hard to pull the trigger. I think if you're buying Square long term, I do think you're going to make money. I think it can grow into its valuation. Where is it trading? Like 50 times earnings now or 45 times? It's not insane. It makes money. And PayPal is like 15 times earnings or something. PayPal's a value stock all of a sudden. But I mean, we just got to, if we're going in a recession, none of this stuff is good. It's hard.
Yeah.
We need to figure out where we're going. And nobody's got the crystal ball to tell us if we're going in a recession, if we're going to have a hot CPI number. We just don't know. So a lot of unknowns. But Square's valuation is not insane anymore. It was insane at 280. It was insane at 200. At $66, what is it, 35, 36 times earnings? You have it, Mitch? Mitch trying to look it up
Yeah, I'm
fast.
looking it up
Yeah.
right now.
Somebody got in
I'm
the chat?
trying
You're not back to your COVID low. So
not cheap yet, though, either.
Yeah. Like, oh boy. Just not much on the monthlies. I will say, you're holding up. You got a chance at a green candle here. So the month is still early. You're way above your low for June. So, is it going to like just bust out and go, 75, 80, 90? Maybe if you build the base. But I think the buyers here are just being so patient, and if they pick up a chunk down here, it doesn't look good here, they're flipping it. They're not. I don't think the big moves are, the big players are looking for big moves in these stocks because it's not there. It's not the environment. So if someone's buying a chunk, between 55 and let's say 60, and they're going to flip it out. They don't care that you own this thing at like $80. But let's
Yeah, I have a PE forward of 88, and just to kind of mention,
It's lighter than that, so that's
book
probably off
value.
of-
Yeah, book value I have around 32.70. So that's
either
interesting
way,
there.
Square, it's lighter than 88. I know that. David's saying it's 40 forward PE. It's tough because you get special. You start looking down, you just grab one earnings report, you can grab it off of that, but then there could be some items, one-time items and stuff and all that. I think it's trading around. Last time I looked, it was like 52 times forward earnings, and it's come down since then. So David's got 40. I think that's correct. I was guessing 36 out of my head. 40 sounds right. It's not cheap yet, but it's not as insane as it was. And I mean, valuation matters. In 2022, it does. So first things first, when you're buying a stock, look at what it's doing. If it's burning cash, I mean, some of these stocks are good for trades and for bounces. You don't have to look at fundamental information when you're trading something. You can use charts. But if you're looking at your long-term investment portfolio, you got to look at the fundamentals.
All right. Yeah, at least I know at least the book value is accurate there at 32.16. So we'll see if it gets down underneath the 60 level again. Let's go towards
CPIs,
stock in the
what's
chat.
gonna
What else
dictate this move?
what else you got there? Looks like we're getting mention of DDS. Dillard's?
I've never understood Dillard's. I've never
don't either.
understood why this stock, why it's the one. I mean, I never understood why it's $200. You got every retailer, that's basically
Please
just been in
speak some
shambles
sense to me.
Why is Dillard's or what?
I don't
How
know.
is it different than Macy's?
I
How is
have
it
no
Dillard's?
idea, man.
Like, what do they do there? How do they I don't get it.
They
I've
have to
never
do
got
some
it at
blockchain
all.
or something, man.
But if you look at Macy's over the same, go 10 years. Macy's is 2016 was $70. It's $17 now. Or sorry, 2015 Macy's was $70. It's $17 now. Dillard's in 2015 was $80. It's $200 now. How in the hell is this the one? Like, I've never understood it myself, why this stock, why this retailer has, had all the buyers, but it is what it is. I mean,
so hard to trade too. So thin
there's such
and
big
wicked.
stores too. I mean, like these stores, like I go in there and I'm like, holy, these things are taking up half the mall. But
think one of the things-
Nordstrom, same thing. They all feel the
Hey,
same. Nordstrom's, New Macy's, Dillard's, but Dillard's for whatever reason just continues to hold up and get bought by on dips. So
I got to
I don't
hop,
know.
guys, back to
Go.
pre-market prep plus after a few
We're
days
enjoying
off
ticker
last
signs too
week.
much.
Man, keep an eye on this pre-market low. Couple other lows there from last week. Important to hold, and then kind of if you drift back anywhere near unchanged, we get near the pre-market high that was unchanged. The high close from last week. Just kind of, I think you just got to nibble on the edges today. But Triple D, I'll check in with you at top of the hour. Everyone have a great day.
All right, like always, guys, do me the favor, smash that thumbs on up. Give us a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed today's show. We're gonna start wrapping on up here. Dennis, what's your say for tech? I wanted to ask.
It's gonna chop. So buying dips, selling rips. You're gonna be really choppy here today.
Okay.
I don't think there's gonna be a tank ahead of. It could be some nervousness ahead of the number, but I still think it's gonna be choppy. I think we're gonna have choppy trade until Wednesday. Get the data Wednesday morning. It's gonna dictate the next move. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of positioning, even more so tomorrow ahead of that number. The analysts are talking bearish. 8.8 sounds high to me. I think it's going to be light, but who knows? I mean, this data is still a mystery. It's a mystery even how they calculate a lot of stuff. So
yeah, that's the truth, ain't it? Thank you, Dennis. Like always,
okay,
you have a good
Thanks,
week.
buddy. Good job.
You, man. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to wrap on up, take you to live trading. So definitely come on over if you guys want to see Lord Ryan, Zunaid coming after it into the market. Of course, I'll be joining them. We'll see what happens with the rotation. Does ARKK kind of keep going? The growth names kind of keep booming? Or does the outlook, of course, of interest rates getting the hike rate going up here, does that take away the growth trade? We'll keep watch what happens there. Like always, we covered a lot of topics today. We touched Rogers communication. We touched the economic data to keep on watch this week. We talked about natural gas. We also talked about what's going on in China. Keep your eyes on those stocks, how they trade today. Twitter, Elon, of course. And we got into the downgrades coming into bunches. So smash the thumbs on up if you got a lot out of today's show. And come on over to live trading as we continue the day and the trading action.
We'll be right back.